can't begin to imagine all the stories of John that exist in this room alone. Everyone I've talked to that knows John can't say enough of all the ways John has touched their lives, love him, and it's because he was so involved in everybody else's lives. The first time my wife Shelley and I met him and Peggy was at dinner at Fritz's home when I was interviewing to be pastor here at Hempfield. And I didn't know it was an option to dine with the former pastor of the church. You know, I thought that was one of those rules you weren't supposed to do. But then we got together, and I understood why. At the table, we'd be sitting there, and John was on the end, and I'd be kind of next to him, and like he'd want to break off into his own conversation with me because he just couldn't tell me enough about the church. And he'd pull me aside and say, "Pete," he'd wrinkle his brow a little bit and get that intense yet warm look in his eyes, and he'd say, "You are going to love Hempfield. You're going to love them." Because he loved you so much. So we want to share just a bit, some thoughts on John from his family and also from Reverends Curtis Dubel and Betty Malenki. So Curtis, please.
I'm Curtis Dubel, and I've been asked to share several anecdotes about John Lehman's pastoral ministry pilgrimage. It was in the early 1970s when Ralph Moyer and I were the pastoral team at York First Church of the Brethren in York, Pennsylvania, when a young man recently graduated from Elizabethtown College, grown up in the Episcopal Church, coming to worship with us. He was holed up in an apartment on South Queen Street, and he was working as a juvenile probation officer out of the York court, working with troubled young people. That was the young man who came to worship with us, the name John Lehman. Ralph was responsible for the youth ministry, and so he befriended John and extended to him the call to become a teacher of junior high in the church school. Quite some time later, he came into my office and he said, "I would like to talk with you about things that are on my mind." And he said, and I quote, "I've been thinking about giving up my job and going to Bethany Theological Seminary in Chicago just to learn how to become a better Christian." 3 years later, he graduated and experienced the call of pastoral ministry. And those of you who have been in the congregations where he was pastor, you know the rest of the story, which some things Ralph will share in his sermon. The second story is about John's dedication to caring for persons within the congregation. In 1981, John and Peggy and Ralph and his wife Annette and Anna Mary, my wife, and myself decided that we would like to get together bi-monthly. And we will eat a meal together, and then we will relate to each other and enjoy each other by playing table and card games from 3 to 5 hours. And we played them with passion. Often, John and Peggy would be late, like 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And we'd say, "Hey, John, what's up?" And almost always his answer was, "I've been to some of the hospitals where I had to visit with some of the persons in the congregation." So you can guess what our expressions would be every time they came late. And there we were waiting. "Hey, John, what hospital did you go to now?" It experienced for him the caring of the congregation. This last anecdote relates to his carefulness in making decisions about responding to the inquiries and the calls that came to him as to where is the next place that he should serve. During 2006, if you can think back that far, I would get these telephone calls saying, "Hey, Curtis, could you meet with me at round-the-clock diner in York? I've just got to talk with you." And so we got together, and he would talk about various opportunities and inquiries that were coming his way and what he was going to do with them. I tell you, in 2006, there were 3, I think there were 4 times that I traveled from Lancaster to York to eat breakfast. But John had a talk. And finally, on that 4th time, I said, "John, when are you going to land? The airplanes go up in the air, but they can't stay there all the time. When are you going to come down?" Guess where he landed in 2006? 1186 Stevens Street, Post Office Box 246, East Petersburg, Pennsylvania. And you folks here at Hempfield know the rest of the story. I close with this writing. Blessed are those who carefully respond to God's call, for they will be satisfied.